Hey friend, this is episode number 528 of the And So podcast with Taylor Bradford. Let's get to it. Boss Girl Creative presents And So with Taylor Bradford, business and life musings from a successful serial entrepreneur. Each week, you will hear Taylor spill the tea on all things business, life, relationships, health, and everything in between. But don't worry, each week also includes a business nugget that will help you stay on course. And now a throwback to 3-year-old Taylor who inspired all of this.
And so.
Hello, friend. Welcome to this episode of the podcast. I'm your host, Taylor Bradford. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you are having a fantastic day. And I will be heading to Colorado next week and be spending some time in hopefully cooler temperatures, although I have heard that the whole country is in a heat wave, which is no fun because we finally hit the 90s here in Texas, and my garden is starting to see the summer squat. The production that was prolific prior to 90-degree consistent weather has finally arrived and slowed down to a squat. So starting to hit that summer slump, and this weather is like my okra is a fan of this weather, and my zinnias are a fan, and what was the other one that is a fan? My peppers. But everybody else is not a fan. And I still don't have my irrigation figured out. We have had some setbacks with some equipment breaking, and then some rain last week that prevented us from trenching the water line. We now have it trenched, but then we had another problem on Sunday night. We were trying to finish the trenching and the excavating, and my husband accidentally dug up my neighbor's water line. So we had to call our plumber out. And then he also found his gas line. Thankfully did not puncture that tubing, but we'll have to make that fix as well. And hopefully my water goes in today. That would be really, really great. My DripWorks system for my garden arrives today, and I would really like to get that installed. It would be really beneficial for me. I need to read the instructions, so I don't know if you dry install or if you have to have it connected to water before you install. I honestly don't know. Do you test it out kind of like a soaker hose to make sure it works before you do all of the manual labor of crawling through your pumpkin patch to install your drip lines? I don't know. So we're going to find out together. I also need to get my fall tomatoes in. I need to pull my spring tomatoes out. I need to harvest the rest that is showing blush and then harvest the rest green, and then completely get those out of my beds and make room for the new peppers, the new tomatoes, and the eggplant that is going in. And then I need to direct sow some more summer squash and another thing of zucchini, because I have people still asking for that. And I can do another round of squash and zucchini because of Texas and our basically 365-degree weather related to growing things in the garden. So yes, everyone is not a fan. Everyone else is not a fan outside of okra, peppers, and zinnias of the consistent 90-degree weather. And I'm not a fan either. We have been just so blessed to have such a mild spring into summer that it is now almost August and we're just now hitting consistent 90s, which is so crazy for our state. Let me give you a house update. The metal building structure is supposed to start in 2-ish weeks. So looking forward to that. We did pay our first draft towards the building. I just told you about the trenching of the HTO and hitting our neighbor's water. And yeah, I think that's about it for the house update. What am I reading? Let's talk about books. I have finished Apple Turnover Murder. These are all by Joanne Fluke. I also finished Devil's Food Cake Murder and Cinnamon Roll Murder. I am currently reading The Women of Arlington Hall, which I started last week. And I've been reading a few chapters at lunch and reading a few chapters at bedtime to get through that. And then I'm listening to Madness, Race and Insanity in a Jim Crow Asylum by Antonia Hilton. That is my book club pick for right now. And it's actually really good. I am learning a lot. It's really cool to see history kind of like, I don't know, merging with other history that I have had an opportunity to learn more about being in this book club. And so hearing some of those same names being mentioned in this particular book as I have heard in other books or just being in this book club. And it is a fascinating read for sure. All right, farm stand. So last week I had my first 3-figure week, which is so wild to me. I made $115 selling my produce last week. And remember, or maybe you don't know, I don't know if I've mentioned this on the podcast, but my highest dollar is a $5 basket of either tomatoes or peppers. And then I sell cucumbers or zucchini and squash, 3 for $5. So my price point is $5. And so big deal to hit $115 selling my produce last week. And I got to connect with a few new customers, and I have made them into like future customers. And a lot of people, what I'm hearing is having access to local produce is hard. And when I say, hey, you know, we do have a farmer's market in town on Saturdays, the very first thing that every one of them points out is, no, they don't grow their own food. They're getting it from other farmers, not in our area. They're having it shipped in or brought in from another part of the state. This is not their food. And that's what makes you different, is it is your food, like you grew it yourself. So that's a feel good kind of thing, but also a very powerful thing to know about what my community is seeking. So that is the farm stand update. And I have personally hit a summer slump in creating content. I couldn't tell you what led up to it, but I found it. I found the summer slump. So I have put myself in trouble with that by forgetting that yesterday was Monday and not putting out my YouTube video for the week. So I'm behind. I need to get that out today. And yeah, so I've hit the summer slump in content creation. It's almost like it's mirroring my garden, because the garden is hitting the summer slump, and that is where I'm creating a lot of my content. I'm like, oh, okay. So if you are feeling that, and I think they said Mercury's back in retrograde, so maybe that's a part of it too. I don't know, but I'm definitely feeling the summer slump, and my content is a reflection of that. Which, that's how I feel. That's how I feel. Let's talk about search bar confessions. So with the summer slump, I'm not really searching for a whole lot of things outside of like, if I break something, how do I fix it? So, this is my search bar confessions for the week. Of course, with the huge Astronomer CEO scandal at the Coldplay concert, that has been some of my search bar confessions for the week. Just curious about anything related to that. And like, you know, who was around them and who actually filmed the video from that kiss cam at the Coldplay concert, hearing what the frontman of Coldplay actually said when he saw that moment up on the Jumbotron, and kind of like what people are like unfolding now. And really, it's covering up the horrible devastation, like the news cycle has moved on to this, and it's still covering up, or it is covering up the horrible devastation of the flooding in Kerrville, Texas. They are still trying to locate a lot of missing humans, and it's really sad. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. And now hearing people's survival stories, it's just really close to home. Kerrville's not that far from me. And I have, as I mentioned previously, I have experienced flooding of like one of my businesses and what I personally lost. And flooding is something that happens very quickly. There usually is not any time to prepare. You are definitely caught off guard. You're definitely caught off guard. So what else have I been Googling? Refrigerators, because, that's an important purchase for a house build. Here's a good search bar confession for you. How to apply an eye mask. I legit thought I was applying them wrong when I saw somebody on Instagram with their eye masks on. And I'm like, crap, have I been putting them on wrong? Turns out there are 4 ways that you can wear an eye mask, just in case you wanted to know that too. And you're probably not wearing them wrong. And then fresh salsa recipes with no onions because of an onion allergy. And I have a lot of tomatoes and peppers right now, even though the garden's hitting a summer slump. And I wanted to make fresh salsa, which I've been eating since I made it a few days ago. It's really good. It's got a little bit too much lime juice, but it's good. It's still good. And that wraps up this week's Search Bar Confessions. Let's talk about this week's business nugget. So it's related to my farm stand and related to how I'm actually marketing it, which is a very, very simple process, and it's working. And I want to talk more. I want to dive more into those marketing strategies. And even though they're very simple, I'm going to tell you 12 things my farm stand has taught me in the 6 weeks that I have been running it as it relates to marketing. So first of all, I want to give you a tip. If you type something on your phone over and over and over, like your website or a social media profile URL, this is going to be a game changer for you and maybe just a refresher that it exists. I can speak to iPhone. I don't know if this works on Android. Probably it does, but with the iPhone, it for sure does. Create a shortcut phrase on your keyboard for those lengthy things that you type out over and over. So I am advertising on Facebook Marketplace. I have 2 listings that I am running about my produce on Facebook Marketplace, which is the funnel, right? I am getting people there, and then they DM me about my produce, and then I set them up to go on the journey to my farm stand, and then they can follow or subscribe or whatever. I don't know what the right words are on Facebook. They can follow, they can like the page. I think you can follow and like on Facebook. And it changes so much. It's hard to keep up. And then they can pay attention to when I share my farm stand hours, what I have available. I always add a message button to all of my posts so they can actually message me right away when they see something, or just message me when they hit that page. And so I set up a shortcut phrase. It's simply farm stand, and it types out really quickly. I just push the button in my keyboard and I can load in my Facebook page URL that was taking me a few seconds to type out because it's kind of long, Sugar Creek Farm TX. Plus you have to add facebook.com/ to that. And it just makes my life easier because that's my funnel. And although I didn't set it up as I'm going to set up this funnel, I didn't do it that way, but it is a funnel unintentionally. It is a funnel. And so here are the lessons that I've learned in 6 weeks related to marketing my farm stand and setting up that funnel. So here we go. Number 1, it's not about being louder. It's about being relevant. And let me tell you how that speaks to me related to my farm stand. So I ask my customers, how did you hear about me? Did a friend share it? Because that's what's also happening. Those lovely airplane buttons are allowing people to share to their humans. And when people latch onto something that they are seeking and that they find relevant and important, they hit the share button and they are sharing it. I met a lady yesterday and she's like, I've shared it with all of my friends. Every time I see your posts, I share it. And that's very powerful. So it's not about being louder, it's about being relevant. And my relevancy from hearing it directly from my customers' mouths is that I am local, I'm growing it myself, and it's easy to access me. Once they find me, although that's kind of a hurdle for people because they're like, where are you? Where is that? But once they find me, then and are, because they're seeking the thing that I have, which is making me relevant, and then telling me that my local farmers market is not actually anyone local growing the things, then that makes me way more relevant than having to have a bigger microphone or a bigger megaphone. So it's not about being louder, it's about being relevant. Number 2, good marketing sparks interest. Great marketing sparks action. So I have 2 photos on Facebook Marketplace advertising my produce, and I strategically took these photos because a photo speaks 1,000 words that you cannot say. And that, when you're looking on Marketplace, the photos are what people are looking at. They're not really looking at the post title. If they are captured by the thing that they're seeing, they click in there, right? So my 2 photos that I'm using to advertise my farm stand are pictures of me staging my produce on a dark background, and the vibrancy of the produce is what is selling people to get them into that funnel. So good marketing sparks interest, great marketing sparks action. Number 3, marketing is the art of making people feel something real. And it's my food. My food is speaking for itself, and then my story is helping to tell, bring them into the journey. So my food photos are making people feel something, and it is causing them to get into that funnel, to figure out where I am, and to come shop me. Now, I've had some people say things to me, and I'm like, really? Was that necessary? I feel like you are projecting onto me, and I can't help that. I had a gentleman say, I'm in blah, blah, blah city, and 1 basket of okra is not enough for me to drive to you. And I'm like, did you have to tell me that? You could have said, hey, I'm looking for more okra, so thank you so much, and move on. You projecting on me is not going to make me have more okra. And I cannot help the fact that we've had a mild summer, and okra loves heat. So I'm doing the best I can with my okra. Okay, moving on. Number 4, the best marketing isn't about what you say, it's about what they remember. So my food photos are bringing them into my funnel. They can see what's available, and then they follow my page after I've given them my page and told them this is the best way to know when I'm open and what I have available. And then they come in, and then I can tell them my story and tell them all about how I garden. And that is what they remember. They are connecting with me based on their past experience gardening or someone in their family gardening, and also the taste of fresh homegrown vegetables and produce is a very powerful connection too. So the best marketing isn't about what you say, it's about what they remember. And I don't want you to forget that. Number 5, a good product sells itself, but a great story makes it unforgettable. People are looking, as it relates to my farm stand, people are looking for organic, they are looking for local, and they are looking for somebody growing a certain thing. And it's exactly what I'm doing. I'm growing organically. I'm local to them. I can tell them all about my farm and what I'm doing and what I'm growing, and I'm telling them why. And that is memorable. So a good product sells itself, but a great story makes it unforgettable. And it is what has allowed me to already have repeat customers that have already shopped me 3 or 4 times since starting 6 weeks ago. It is crazy how strong food is a connector. Number 6, a small, passionate audience will outperform a large, indifferent one. And man, has that not been true with my farm stand. I made my first 3-figure sales last week because of my audience, because of my customer base, and them seeking something that I have. And it is a need that I am fulfilling. I am the resource for these people in my community, and they are sharing automatically. They are like, oh my gosh, I have found somebody local to me, and now my friends need to know about it as well. And it's going to get to a point, and this is a good problem to have with any business. It's going to get to a point where I'm like, dang, I gotta like grow more things. I gotta grow more of that thing because that is what I'm being shopped out of. So again, a small, passionate audience will outperform a large, indifferent one. Y'all, I have like 90 followers on my Facebook page in 6 weeks. And the 90 part isn't the number that I'm like wowed by. It's the repeat customers and the people that are now becoming my megaphones because I'm a resource for them. And that is a strong connection to humans. Number 7, consistency builds trust. Trust builds sales. They have found me. They have sampled my produce by buying because I'm not really giving much away for free unless I know like something is coming up to being too overripe. And then I'm like, here, I'm just going to give you these things and enjoy. And they are telling people how great things taste. And I'm seeing that show up in comments when I make my posts. And when I say, hey, I'm planning out my fall garden, what would you like to see me grow? What would you actually buy? And that's something else. You have to constantly poll these people that have taken up the megaphone on your behalf because they're eating the thing that you're selling or they're consuming the thing you're selling. Consistency builds trust and trust builds sales. Number 8, focus on being memorable, not just visible. And that is what is setting me apart. I am the resource that they have found, but my produce is memorable. My photos of my produce is memorable. That is what is bringing people in. Focus on being memorable, not just visible. Number 9, the faster you solve their problem, the less they'll care about the price. No one has balked at me selling a basket of tomatoes for $5, a basket of jalapenos for $5. They don't care about the price. They want the fresh produce. They want the organic produce. They don't care, and they're spending money. I had a lady buy $20 of cucumbers from me this past week. And she didn't care about the price. I don't know what cucumbers are at the store, but she didn't care about the price. She wanted the cucumbers because she wanted to pickle them because her whole family likes pickles. So the faster you solve their problem, the less they'll care about the price. Number 10, a loyal customer is more valuable than 5 new ones. Oh my gosh, absolutely, because they are the megaphone. They're the ones sharing to their friends, hey, I found this resource. People love to be helpful. People love to share when they find something that they love and they want others to know about it. This is not something, what I'm doing with my farm stand is not something that somebody's hogging to themselves. They are doing exactly what I hoped they would do by loving what I'm doing and sharing about my produce because they love how it tastes, they love how easy it is to get to me, etc., etc. A loyal customer is more valuable than 5 new ones. Number 11, people remember stories, not stats. Lead with emotion and support with facts. So I can show my garden. I can tell the story about why this is important to me. I can share my own food journey. And I can also say why I'm doing it. And that is creating a connection for people. First, the food speaks for itself. But having my journey being able to share my food journey and my garden journey with people is what is creating that connection. Plus, I just enjoy meeting people. I enjoy having conversation with people. It's kind of lonely in my town. So this is also a win-win for me because it's allowing me to meet the people that are in my community and then to learn more about them because people like to talk about themselves, learn more about them. I end up spending like 30 minutes with almost every one of my customers because I want to know who they are and I ask questions, and people love to talk about themselves and their backgrounds. And I enjoy learning about that because it solidifies my relationship with them. So when they think about garden and produce, they think about me. So it's designed that way. However, food is the connection, and food is a very powerful connection. And then finally, number 12, just putting it out there. As simple as it is, just putting it out there and allowing a funnel to take shape and to be something that you probably didn't envision, but it became, and now it is easy. When you finally latch onto something that's easy and begins to work for you, and you're like, I could see how this could be a solid side hustle for me. I already enjoy being in the garden. It is super grounding for me, and just being able to spend time around the things you grow, like it's really next level. And by simply putting 2 listings on Facebook Marketplace, showing my produce, but being strategic because a picture speaks 1,000 words, it created this funnel that I really didn't anticipate. And then I was like, crap, I should probably have a Facebook page. I need to be able to tell people and connect with people. And I probably should be also asking for their email address. That's probably my next step, probably after Colorado, because not something I can do right now, but getting their email address and being able to say, hey, this is what's coming up in the garden. Like, what a powerful way to connect with people, as it should be, right? As it should be. So that is 12 marketing rules, 12 things my farm stand has taught me in 6 weeks as it relates to marketing. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. And until next time, I hope you truly have an impeccable week. And like my 3-year-old self said, that is all for this week. Friendly reminder to rate and review my show wherever you are listening. And last but not least, I'd love to hear from you. Leave me an audio message at bossgirlcreative.com/speak. I would love to hear your takeaways, ideas for upcoming episode topics, and your feedback. Thank you again for listening to this week's episode. And until next time, I hope you have a great rest of this one.